The farmers' market of San Antonio, Texas, should have been an unremarkable scene of weekend commerce. Vibrant produce, local craftspeople, and the gentle hum of weekend shoppers created a tableau of mundane human activity. Nobody noticed the subtle shimmer in the air, the microscopic distortion that heralded the arrival of the Neutrino Collective's first contact team. Commander Zixtal materialized between a salsa demonstration booth and a chili pepper competition, his advanced biomechanical suit designed to protect against virtually every known environmental hazard in the known universe. What the suit hadn't been engineered to handle was the sensory assault of a Texan farmer's market on a crisp Saturday morning. The first warning came from his suit's environmental scanners. Multiple threat indicators began flickering, not from weapons, not from radioactive materials, but from something far more insidious. Capsaicin levels, molecular compounds, organic chemical signatures that defied every known classification of biological interaction. Lieutenant Krax, Zixtal spoke through their subvocal communication system. "Are you receiving these readings?" The lieutenant's response was immediate, but confused. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple biochemical anomalies. The environmental conditions, they don't make sense." An elderly woman approached the seemingly empty space where the alien reconnaissance team had materialized. Her weathered hands held a small ceramic bowl, steam rising from its contents. "Honey," she called out, seemingly to no one, "would you like to try my special salsa?" Zixtal's universal translator, a marvel of xenolinguistic engineering, began to spark and smoke. The device was attempting to process not just language, but the complex flavor profile emanating from the bowl. Capsaicin molecules danced in the air, their structure so complex that they seemed to laugh at the very concept of biological defense mechanisms. The elderly woman, Maria Rodriguez, a local legend in San Antonio's competitive chili scene, remained blissfully unaware that she was about to make first contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. Her salsa was a carefully guarded family recipe, passed down through generations, refined in kitchen competitions that were more cutthroat than most military strategizing sessions. Zixtal's protective suit began to show signs of molecular breakdown. The ghost pepper extract, combined with a proprietary blend of locally grown chilies, was creating a chemical reaction that no alien technology had ever encountered. What humans considered a mild condiment was, to the Neutrino Collective, a potential existential threat. Lieutenant Krax watched in horror as his commander's suit started to liquefy at the molecular level. The readings were impossible. The environmental data suggested that this wasn't just a food product, it was a sophisticated chemical weapon disguised as a weekend market demonstration. "Biological contamination protocol," Zixtal managed to grunt, his translator now reduced to a melting piece of advanced technology. "Initiate emergency extraction." But it was too late. Maria Rodriguez smiled, extending the bowl. "Just a little taste. Honorable. It's my world-famous recipe." The first contact between humanity and the Neutrino Collective was about to be defined not by diplomatic speeches, not by technological demonstrations, but by a small bowl of salsa that could potentially incapacitate an entire alien civilization. As Zixtal's suit continued to break down, Lieutenant Krax realized with growing terror that everything they understood about advanced technology, about biological warfare, about the very nature of interspecies interaction, was about to be fundamentally challenged. Humanity didn't need sophisticated weapons. They had something far more dangerous. They had cooking. The farmer's market continued around them, oblivious to the fact that a simple bowl of salsa was about to change the course of galactic history. The secure facility beneath the Culinary Institute of America was not like any research center the world had ever seen. Here, cooking was more than an art or a science. It was a form of advanced strategic defense. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display, her fingers tracing the molecular breakdown of her grandmother's ghost pepper salsa. The screen flickered with data points that would make most biochemists weep: complex capsaicin chains, unique microbial structures, and biochemical interactions that defied conventional understanding. Her classified file told a story far more complex than a simple chef's biography. 3 tours in extreme environments, special forces, culinary missions in regions where standard survival protocols were meaningless, and a doctorate that blended molecular gastronomy with advanced biochemical warfare. Elena was not just a chef, she was a weapon. The encrypted communication from the Global Defense Consortium came through. Priority 1. Absolute secrecy. The alien first contact team's destruction by a simple bowl of salsa was no longer just an incident. It was a potential turning point in human history. We need a full spectrum analysis. General Marcus Hartley's voice crackled through the secure line. Every recipe, every cooking technique. Treat them as potential defensive technologies. Elena knew what this meant. Her life's work, understanding the deeper complexities of human cuisine, was about to become humanity's first line of defense. Her research had always suggested that human cooking was more than mere sustenance. The fermentation techniques that allowed humans to consume foods that would poison other species, the complex spice interactions that could alter brain chemistry, the microbial ecosystems cultivated in everything from kimchi to sourdough bread. These were not accidents of evolution. They were sophisticated biological technologies. The lab around her was a culinary arsenal. Pressure cookers modified with quantum sensing equipment, spice racks that doubled as chemical analysis stations, fermentation chambers that could potentially generate compounds capable of disrupting alien communication frequencies. A junior researcher burst into the room, holding a sealed container. "Dr. Rodriguez, we've isolated the molecular compound from your grandmother's salsa. The initial tests are, well, you need to see this." The container held what looked like an innocuous red liquid, but the holographic display told a different story. The capsaicin structure was unlike anything in known scientific literature. It wasn't just a pepper extract. It was a complex, adaptive molecular system that could potentially interface with alien biochemistry in ways no one had anticipated. "This is more than a weapon," Elena murmured, studying the display. "This is a communication protocol." The Global Defense Team had initially contacted her because of her unique background. Born to a family of competitive chefs from San Antonio, with roots tracing back to generations of culinary innovators, Elena represented something unique. Her grandmother had won chili competitions that were more strategic than sporting. Her mother had developed cooking techniques in conflict zones, and Elena herself had pushed the boundaries of what cooking could mean. A secure terminal blinked with incoming data. Preliminary reports from the alien first contact team, or what remained of it, confirmed her suspicions. The salsa hadn't just destroyed their protective gear. It had attempted to establish a form of biochemical communication. "We're looking at this wrong," Elena told the room of stunned researchers and military personnel. "Cooking isn't just a human survival mechanism. It's our most advanced form of interspecies interaction." The implications were staggering. Every cuisine, every cooking method, every recipe could be a potential diplomatic tool or a sophisticated defensive mechanism. Fermentation wasn't just about preserving food. It was about cultivating complex microbial ecosystems that could potentially rewrite biological understanding. A Korean kimchi recipe could be a molecular communication system. A Louisiana gumbo might contain adaptive biochemical compounds. A simple sourdough starter could be more complex than most alien communication technologies. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons. It was its ability to transform, to adapt, to communicate through the most unexpected of mediums. And Elena Rodriguez was about to prove it. The United Nations Senate Diplomacy Pavilion was a marvel of architectural engineering, designed to host the most complex interstellar negotiations in human history. Its translucent walls could shift molecular composition to accommodate various atmospheric requirements. Its floor embedded with communication matrices that could translate between hundreds of potential alien communication spectrums. Ambassador Helena Chen stood at the center of the main hall, her tailored suit a deliberate choice of understated power. Behind her, a carefully curated diplomatic welcome team represented the most diverse culinary cultures of Earth. Each member carried what appeared to be standard diplomatic gifts: But Elena Rodriguez knew better. These were potential biochemical communication devices, weapons, diplomatic tools. The Rigelian delegation arrived precisely at 1400 hours, their biomechanical exoskeletons shifting colors in complex communication patterns. Ambassador Krolnax moved with a fluid grace that suggested both advanced technology and biological sophistication. The traditional diplomatic welcome drink was where everything went catastrophically wrong. What humans considered a mild habanero-infused welcome beverage was, to the Rigelian biology, an existential threat. The drink, carefully prepared by Elena's team, wasn't just a beverage. It was a sophisticated biochemical probe, designed to test alien physiological responses. Ambassador Krolnax's first sip triggered a cascade of unexpected reactions. His exoskeleton began to pulse with rapid chromatic shifts, emergency communication protocols that no human translator had ever successfully decoded. The universal translators throughout the pavilion began to spark and malfunction, unable to process the complex biochemical communication happening at a molecular level. "It's not an attack," Elena whispered into her secure communication device. "It's a conversation." The Rigelians' response was instantaneous and overwhelming. What humans saw as a potential diplomatic incident, the aliens interpreted as an advanced form of first-contact communication. The habanero's capsaicin molecules were interacting with the ambassador's biochemical receptors in ways that suggested intentional, sophisticated information transfer. Helena Chen watched in a mixture of horror and fascination as the diplomatic protocols she had spent decades preparing dissolved into a complex molecular dance. The welcome drink wasn't just a beverage, it was a language, a probe, a potential weapon. Military advisors in a secure observation room were recording every microsecond of the interaction. Dr. Rodriguez's team had prepared for multiple scenarios, but this exceeded all expectations. The Rigelian ambassador's biological response was creating a communication matrix more complex than any diplomatic language ever developed. Status. General Hartley's voice crackled through Elena's encrypted earpiece. "Molecular communication protocols are active," she responded. "We're receiving data in ways we never anticipated." The pavilion's environmental systems began to adjust, the walls shimming with subtle molecular recalibrations. What looked like a diplomatic disaster was, in fact, the most sophisticated first contact scenario in human history. Ambassador Krolnax's exoskeleton continued its rapid color shifts. To the untrained eye, it looked like a system malfunction. To Elena Rodriguez, it was a complex conversation happening at a molecular level that human science was only beginning to understand. Humanity wasn't just meeting an alien civilization. They were communicating through the most unexpected of mediums, cuisine. And they were winning. The underground facility beneath Langley was not like any military research center in human history. Here, Schutz worked alongside quantum physicists. Molecular biologists shared workspaces with special forces veterans, and the line between cuisine and advanced weaponry blurred into non-existence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that mapped the molecular potential of global cuisines. Each cuisine was now a potential strategic asset, each recipe a form of advanced communication technology. "We're redefining warfare," General Marcus Hartley said, his weathered hands holding a cup of coffee that was more scientific instrument than beverage. "Cuisine is our new frontline." The experiments had begun immediately after the Rigelian diplomatic incident. What humans considered standard cooking techniques were systematically tested as potential defensive and offensive technologies. A Korean kimchi fermentation process showed the ability to generate electromagnetic interference patterns. A Sichuan pepper extract could temporarily disrupt neural communication in certain biological systems. Elena's team had discovered something profound. Human cooking was an adaptive, intelligent system that could potentially communicate and defend against unknown threats in ways traditional weapons never could. The Sichuan peppercorn experiment. She called up a series of molecular graphs. It's not just a flavor. It's a complex neural disruptor that can temporarily incapacitate without permanent damage. Military strategists from 17 different countries watched in a mixture of horror and fascination. The implications were staggering. Cuisine wasn't just about sustenance or culture. It was a sophisticated form of biological communication and defense. A team of fermentation experts had discovered that certain microbial cultures could generate frequency-disrupting compounds. A simple sourdough starter, when properly cultivated, could potentially interfere with alien communication systems. Kombucha wasn't just a health drink. It was a potential communication jamming device. We're looking at cooking as a form of advanced technology, Alina explained to the assembled team. Each recipe is a complex molecular communication system. Each cooking technique is a potential defensive protocol. The most promising research centered around adaptive spice combinations. Certain pepper extracts, when combined in specific molecular ratios, could generate compounds that interfered with alien biochemical communication. A Louisiana hot sauce wasn't just a condiment, it was a potential biochemical firewall. Marine Corps culinary specialists were being retrained. No longer were they simply food preparers. They were now classified as advanced biochemical communication specialists. Their training now included molecular gastronomy, advanced biochemical interaction studies, and complex communication protocol development. "We're turning every kitchen into a potential research station," General Hartley muttered. Every chef is now a frontline defender. The Global Defense Consortium had implemented a radical new strategy. Culinary schools were now considered critical national infrastructure. Competitive cooking shows were monitored as potential research and development platforms. Every recipe shared was a potential breakthrough in interspecies communication and defense. Alina's team had begun mapping the molecular potential of global cuisines. Indian spice combinations showed remarkable neural interaction capabilities. Japanese fermentation techniques revealed complex molecular communication patterns. Mexican mole sauces demonstrated adaptive biochemical structures that could potentially interface with unknown biological systems. "This is more than defense," Alina told the room of stunned military and scientific personnel. "This is our first true universal language." The facility hummed with potential. Pressure cookers modified with quantum sensing equipment, spice racks that doubled as chemical analysis stations, fermentation chambers that could generate compounds capable of disrupting alien communication frequencies. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't in its missiles or its technology. It was in its ability to cook. The Galactic Research Consortium's primary xenobiological research station orbited a neutron star. Its crystalline structures designed to withstand the most extreme environmental conditions known to intelligent life. Yet nothing in its million-year history had prepared it for the comprehensive analysis of human cuisine. Dr. Excelnera, lead xenobiological researcher, stared at the molecular breakdown of a simple human recipe for Carolina Reaper hot sauce. The holographic display showed molecular structures that defied every known principle of biochemical interaction. "This is not food," she whispered to her research team. "This is a form of advanced warfare we've never encountered." Entire research wings were dedicated to understanding human culinary practices. What began as a diplomatic investigation had transformed into a desperate attempt to comprehend a species that could consume substances that would liquefy most known biological systems. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Human capsaicin tolerance wasn't just a biological adaptation, it was a sophisticated molecular communication system. The ability to consume extremely spicy foods represented a complex genetic modification that suggested something far more profound than simple dietary preference. Genetic markers revealed that humans didn't just tolerate extreme flavors, they actively evolved through them. Each generation showed increased capacity to process complex molecular compounds. Fermentation techniques weren't just food preservation methods, they were advanced biological engineering platforms. Their gut bacteria, Dr. Excelnera told the consortium, are more advanced than most species' neural networks. Research stations across multiple star systems began decoding human recipes as if they were encrypted communication protocols. A Korean kimchi wasn't just a fermented food, it was a complex molecular communication system. A Mexican mold sauce contained adaptive biochemical compounds that could potentially rewrite genetic structures. The most terrifying discovery was the human capacity for culinary adaptation. Where most species developed specialized digestive systems, humans created external systems, cooking techniques that could fundamentally alter food at a molecular level. Cooking wasn't just preparation. It was a form of advanced biological manipulation. Alien researchers worked in shifts, analyzing everything from assortive starters to complex spice blends. Each recipe was treated like a potential weapon, each cooking technique a sophisticated communication protocol. The Regellian diplomatic team that had first encountered human cuisine was now a case study. Their encounter with a simple habanero-infused welcome drink had demonstrated capabilities that challenged everything known about interspecies communication. Dr. Zellner's team discovered that human cooking methods created microbial ecosystems more complex than most alien communication technologies. A single sort of starter contained more adaptive potential than entire alien communication networks. They don't just eat, she reported to the Galactic Consortium. They communicate through consumption. Protective gear was being developed to counter human culinary techniques. Research stations created advanced filtration systems designed to neutralize the molecular potential of human spices. Diplomatic protocols were being rewritten to include culinary engagement as a critical form of interaction. The most advanced alien civilizations realized they were facing something unprecedented. Humanity wasn't just another species to be categorized and understood. They were a dynamic, adaptive system that used cuisine as a form of advanced technology. Cooking was warfare. Recipes were communication protocols. Food was a universal language that humanity had been developing for thousands of years, and the rest of the galaxy was just beginning to understand its true potential. The Covert Research Facility was buried 3 kilometers beneath the Andes Mountains, a location chosen for its geological stability and complete isolation. Here, Dr. Elena Rodriguez led a mission that would redefine humanity's approach to interstellar communication and defense. "We're going beyond defensive capabilities," she told her team of specialized culinary operatives. "We're going on the offensive." The target was a Centaurian research station orbiting a binary star system, known for its advanced biochemical encryption technologies. Conventional methods of infiltration would be impossible. But humanity had discovered something far more sophisticated, a way to communicate and infiltrate through the most unexpected of mediums. Elena held up a sealed container containing what looked like an innocuous fermentation starter. To the untrained eye, it was a simple microbial culture. To her team, it was a weapon of unprecedented complexity. "Our gut bacteria are more advanced than most alien neural networks," she explained to the assembled special operations team. These were not standard military personnel, but a hybrid force of culinary experts, microbiologists, and special forces veterans. Their training went far beyond traditional warfare. They were biochemical communication specialists. The infiltration plan was audacious. The fermentation starter would be introduced into the Centaurian station's environmental systems. Its complex microbial structure would not just survive. It would adapt, communicate, and potentially rewrite the station's biochemical communication protocols. Major Jack Rodriguez, Elena's brother and a veteran of multiple covert operations, reviewed the holographic mission parameters. "We're basically turning a fermentation culture into a communication virus," he muttered. "Not a virus," Elena corrected. "A universal translator." The team had spent months developing this specific microbial culture. It combined elements from Korean kimchi, Brazilian dende oil fermentation, and advanced microbial engineering. Each component was carefully selected to create a communication system that could potentially interface with alien biochemical structures. Their intelligence suggested the Centaurian station maintained highly encrypted communication networks. Traditional hacking was impossible. But this was something entirely different. A living, breathing communication system disguised as a simple fermentation culture. "Deployment vector is confirmed," the mission control specialist announced. "We have a 72-hour window before they'll potentially detect the introduction." The sealed container looked deceptively simple. Inside, millions of microorganisms were prepared to undertake the most complex infiltration mission in human history. They would adapt, communicate, and potentially rewrite an entire alien communication infrastructure. Elena watched the final preparations with a mixture of scientific curiosity and strategic determination. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't in its missiles or its technology. It was in its ability to understand, adapt, and communicate through the most unexpected of mediums. "Initiate fermentation protocol," she commanded. The mission to revolutionize interstellar communication had begun. The container opened. The microbes began their journey. The Galactic Council chamber was unlike any diplomatic venue in known space. Its crystalline walls shifted with molecular complexity, designed to accommodate multiple atmospheric and biochemical requirements. Today, those walls would bear witness to the most unprecedented diplomatic confrontation in galactic history. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the chamber, her presence both a scientific and diplomatic statement. Behind her, a carefully curated team represented the most diverse culinary cultures of Earth. They were not just diplomats. They were communication specialists of the highest order. The Galactic Council representatives arrived in a cascade of molecular shifts and complex biochemical communications. Centaurian delegates still showed traces of the fermentation infiltration, their communication matrices subtly altered by the microbial invasion that had preceded this meeting. Humanity has violated every known interstellar communication protocol, Grand Arbiter Krelnax of the Rigelian Concordance declared. The translation matrices struggled to capture the nuanced biochemical language that underscored the statement. Elena's response was immediate and unexpected. She opened a sealed container, releasing a complex aroma that instantly recalibrated the chamber's environmental systems. "This is not a violation," she said. "This is communication." The substance was a carefully engineered molecular compound, part recipe, part communication protocol. It combined elements from global cuisines, the complex fermentation of Korean kimchi, the adaptive spice structures of Mexican mole, the intricate molecular interactions of Japanese dashi. What the alien delegates saw as a potential threat, Elena presented as the most sophisticated communication technology in galactic history. "Our cooking is our language," she explained. "Every recipe is a communication protocol. Every flavor is a potential diplomatic exchange." The Centaurian delegates showed visible signs of molecular recalibration. The fermentation infiltration had done more than just breach their communication systems. It had fundamentally altered their perception of interspecies interaction. Holographic displays began to show the complex molecular interactions. What looked like a simple culinary demonstration was, in fact, a comprehensive breakdown of human communication capabilities. Each flavor, each cooking technique represented a sophisticated method of information exchange. "We don't just consume," Elena continued. "We communicate. We adapt. We transform." The Galactic Council was witnessing something unprecedented. Humanity wasn't presenting itself as a traditional species seeking diplomatic recognition. They were demonstrating a form of communication so advanced, so fundamentally different, that it challenged every existing understanding of interspecies interaction. Spice combinations that could temporarily alter neural pathways, fermentation techniques that could generate complex communication matrices, cooking methods that were, in essence, a form of advanced technological communication. Grand Arbiter Krelnax's biochemical responses indicated something between confusion, fear, and a bizarre form of respect. Humanity had not just entered the galactic stage. They had rewritten the rules of engagement. "Your methods are unorthodox," the Grand Arbiter finally responded, its molecular structure shifting in complex communication patterns. Elena Rodriguez smiled. "We prefer to call it culinary diplomacy." The chamber fell silent, the molecular walls absorbing the complex biochemical communications that words could never capture. Humanity had arrived, and they had brought recipes. The treaty signing was unlike any diplomatic event in galactic history. Instead of traditional documents, a series of molecular communication matrices were exchanged, recipes that served as both legal documentation and complex communication protocols. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched as representatives from 17 different alien civilizations gathered around a table that was part diplomatic platform, part advanced scientific instrument. The surface could simultaneously analyze molecular interactions, translate complex biochemical languages, and serve as a communication conduit. Humanity is hereby recognized, Grand Arbiter Krulnax announced, as a unique form of intelligent life. Your culinary practices are classified as a sophisticated communication and defensive technology. The treaty was more than a legal document. It was a comprehensive recognition of humanity's unique approach to survival, communication, and adaptation. Clauses detailed the molecular complexity of human cooking methods. Each recipe was now officially recognized as a potential diplomatic tool, a communication protocol, a defensive mechanism. Competitive cooking shows were classified as advanced research and development platforms. Culinary schools became critical infrastructure for interstellar communication. Elena's grandmother's ghost pepper salsa, the substance that had first triggered humanity's first contact with alien civilizations, was preserved in a molecular archive, a testament to the unexpected path of human-alien interaction. The most profound revelation was humanity's unique biological and cultural adaptation. Where most species developed specialized biological systems, humans had created external systems of communication and survival. Cooking wasn't just about food. It was about transformation, adaptation, survival. Your species doesn't just adapt, a Centaurian diplomat observed. You transform the very environment around you. The treaty recognized several key human capabilities: culinary techniques as advanced communication protocols, cooking methods as potential defensive technologies, recipes as complex molecular interaction systems, fermentation as a form of advanced biological engineering. Military strategists from Earth watched in a mixture of pride and disbelief. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not through traditional warfare or technological superiority, but through its unique ability to communicate, adapt, and survive through cooking. Elena Rodriguez understood the deeper truth. This wasn't just a diplomatic victory. It was a recognition of something fundamental about human nature, the ability to take something as simple as food and transform it into a sophisticated system of survival and communication. We don't just eat, she had told the Galactic Council. We communicate. We survive. We transform. The treaty was signed not with pens, but with a carefully prepared molecular communication matrix, a recipe that was simultaneously a legal document, a communication protocol, and a demonstration of human potential. As the diplomatic session concluded, the molecular communication matrices continued to interact, exchange information, adapting and transforming in real time. Humanity had arrived in the galactic community, and they had brought dinner.